Hello and welcome back to the Nasty Metal Production channel here at YouTube. Welcome to another, of course, 70s hard and heavy video. So, of course, as you can see, I almost thought about saving this one for at least to end off this week, but, you know, I decided to put it here in the middle. That's, of course, is the Canada 70s hard and heavy mid-70s edition. Since, of course, you know, I've been mostly doing it countries themed, like just, you know, states themed or so, you know, just all UK, US, Canada, and everything, like, you know. So let me kind of get this one away since I have about only three here. Only three albums here, all pretty good. So without further ado, let's get in to the Canadian mid-70s hard and heavy video here. Alright, so first one up is, of course, the debut from the Tees. Canada's Tees, I was probably about to say. Anyways, I'm kind of take this out of here. Just a solid hard rock debut. Definitely, though, kind of heavy at times. Definitely a much different, just more straight up hard rock than some of the later ones. Even though the later ones were a little more melodic after this one, but this one is just straight up bare bones. Kind of get a little front of there. Just bare bones, straight to the bone, just raw rock and roll. Just again with a slight metallic edge on this one. Definitely with like rocking with the music. Probably definitely some almost a little bit early metal at times, like proto metal. Almost closer to what you expect from like the Rods or Riot. Just very much close to that. Just and the whole album in many ways is just a complete heavy, hard and heavy rocker. Just a great album, great debut. For the cover here, this is, of course, is a 2016 reissue on Unidisc, which, of course, for this one, it uses the cover that was used for both the French and Japanese edition instead of the one that was used for the original, and I think, independent release. I'm not sure it was independent, but for the more obscure Canadian release, they used a much different cover that had like almost a comic book like painting of the guys on the front. All very 70s like, but if you were to ask me, I kind of like this cover a little more. I think it's just, again, it really adds to the music. It definitely represents it. It just sounds like this cover to me, definitely for 1976. Just sounds like this cover. Anyways, without further ado, let me just stop talking so I can get into the sample for this album, Gatefold. So let's get into the sample, and so I can get into the next album. So let's get in. Alright, finally into the second album here. Of course, another debut for another Canadian hard rock band. So, that, of course, is the 1975 debut for Moxie. And just a killer album. Very heavy, definitely. Almost at times, a little Black Sabbath sounding here and there. Definitely, to me, I kind of get that from this one. Almost having a little bit of, you kind of hear a bit of the influence on like even the doom bands here and there. But still, it's still rooted within 70s hard rock still. Of course, since I talked about Tommy Bolin on my last week's early US 70's video where I talked about James Gang. Well, of course, I mentioned Moxie, and so I had to show Moxie anyways. Of course, he only does guest solos. He was only again a studio guest musician, but his guitar playing when it comes to the solos really adds a bit of a different vibe to the album. It just adds a whole little different just atmosphere. With all the sort of straight up real bluesy sort of guitar solos, his comes in and it's a lot more melodic sounding than from the album. So in a way, it's just giving a whole new different dimension. So solid album. Pretty much every song on this album is all killer. There really is not a filler track on here. Everything just has a real, very almost real fat bombastic feel at times, even for how slow they are at times. It's just heavy. So in a way, it's just a really good, addition to 70's Hard and Heavy anyways. Really good album. Really good debut. So with that, so I can stop talking about this album so I can go into the next and last album. So here is your sample. And definitely this is an album that is very much worth and pretty much being everyone's collection. So with that, it's time to get to the next and last album. Alright, fine for the last album here. Popular band, of course. When it comes to Canadian bands and when it comes to like hard rock, there's a lot of popular bands that definitely, or bands that from there that did get popular. However, not one that really quite nearly got probably as big as this band right here. And this band, of course, their drummer ended up retiring or something like that. And of course, I think the band also kind of was doing a little bit of a farewell tour. I don't know, but they did a whole documentary album. So I guess, but without all the suspense to build up, just get to the band. It's of course is Rush with of course their third album, Caress of Steel. I could have gone with of course Fly By Night or probably their debut, but to me, I really like, since the only ones I own is like Fly By Night, this album, Moving Pictures, Test for Echo, of course, the Clockwork Angels, still, to me, this is between this album and Fly By Night. I kind of like this album a little more than Fly By Night. This is, of course, was the true beginning, and their true beginning in that progressive rock sound that would really be perfected, I guess, on like 2112, but it's got that progressive feel, but at the same time it still retains its hard and heavy edge that you had gotten on the first two albums. So that's why I kind of edge this album just a little bit more over Fly By Night. Great tracks on here, Bastille Day, the Necromancer. Probably when it comes to for like the real long progressive tracks, this is probably one of my favorites. It's very atmospheric, but it still has a heaviness. Each part of the song just in a way almost seems to get heavy, but then soft towards the end. But in that middle section, that sweet spot real gets all maniacal or maniacal or so all crazy and everything. Just a really great track. The Fountain of Lambeth is a good track, though. Definitely the longest song on the sound, pretty much being around 20 minutes long. Good track, though, definitely, but just a good one. Also, I also kind of dig the very goofy I Think I'm Going Bald, which is a good rocker, of course. So, anyways, it's a good album. from Rush and just killer. So with that, I'll be going into the sample so I can end off this video. So with that, those were three Canadian mid-70s hard and heavy titles there. Just all great stuff. If you've never checked out that debut from Tease, that is definitely one I really recommend to those. So with that, hope you enjoyed this video, and I will be back here in 2 days with another and, of course, last mid-70s video so I can end off this week so I can go into late 70s. So with that, till then, this is Heavy Thrashers. I'm out. I'll see you later. Everyone, take care.